Many goofball atheists who live on er/atheist and even most atheists in general regard God as something that simply relies on some 2,000-year-old book with no scientific backing. People tend not to spend much time thinking of the complexities of existence or actually researching God. My goal right now is to show you that if you spend 1 hour thinking honestly about the nature of the universe, you will come to one conclusion: God must exist. Most debates about God treat him as one hypothesis among many, something to be proven or disproven with evidence. That approach misses the real issue. The question is not whether God can be added to an existing worldview. The question is whether any worldview can function at all without him. Every argument, every claim about what is true, what is right, or what makes sense already presupposes certain preconditions. Logic must be reliable. Truth must be knowable. Moral judgments must be objective. The universe must behave in an orderly and predictable manner. These are not optional extras. They are the very things that make reasoning, science, morality, and intelligible conversation possible. People operate as if their worldview is already proven and authentic. They attack God with ferocity, ridiculing the faithful, yet do not attack their own beliefs. The Transcendental argument shows that atheism cannot provide a coherent account for any of these preconditions. Materialism, naturalism, and every godless system fail to ground the immaterial realities we all rely on every day. Only the Christian worldview, with its transcendent, eternal, all-powerful, personal, rational, and unchanging God, supplies the necessary foundation. Without that foundation, nothing makes sense. Not even the ability to say nothing makes sense. The laws of logic are universal, immaterial, and invariant. The law of identity. A is A. A thing is what it is. The law of non-contradiction. A cannot be A and not A at the same time, and in the same respect. The law of excluded middle. A or not A. There is no third option. Aristotle demonstrated how rejecting these laws leads to absurdity and undermines one's own argument. You could deny these laws, but denying them would contradict the ability to deny them. If these laws didn't exist, then you wouldn't even be able to deny it. I'll explain this concept more, but first, these laws are not physical objects. They are not made of matter or energy. They do not evolve, change with time, or depend on human opinion. A contradiction cannot be true on Mars if it is false on Earth. In a purely material universe, nothing but atoms, forces, chance processes, and time, how do such laws exist? Where do they come from? Why should blind matter obey rational principles? If logic is just a human invention or a byproduct of evolution, it is contingent, changeable, and local, which means it is not really logic. If it is a brute fact, it just is, then the atheist is appealing to an unexplained and illogical mystery, while accusing the theist of doing the same. There are two answers, two solutions. Either universal laws exist, or they don't. But the atheist must use logic to argue for atheism. In this way, the atheist is already assuming logic as a universal exists. If it weren't universal, then both theists and atheists would be neither wrong nor right. The atheist must assume the laws of logic are reliable and universal to say anything meaningful, but his worldview gives him no reason to trust them. That is self-defeating. He's forced to borrow the very thing he denies, a transcendent, rational foundation that makes logic possible. I'll ask you a question. Is the sun hot? If you answer yes, that means that truth objectively exists. If you answer no, then truth still exists. If objective truth exists, that means that universal laws and objectives exist. For these laws to hold, they would have to be unchanging, eternal, and transcendent. So if truth exists, that means it needs to be grounded. Otherwise, it would fall into circularity and become irrational, becoming illogical and stupid. So, how do you ground objective truth? The grounding has to check a bunch of different boxes to justify an objective universal law. This grounding has to be transcendent, otherwise the law wouldn't be transcendent and would become subjective. It has to be immaterial because truth is immaterial. It has to be unchanging, otherwise truth would be able to change and become subjective. It has to be eternal, otherwise truth would have been created and thus would no longer be objective as it would have been created. It has to be immensely powerful. Otherwise, it wouldn't be able to ground a universal law, and a few other boxes need to be checked off. To be able to say the sun is truly hot and be consistent, you'll have to give a justification for that statement. And that justification needs to check off boxes that only one worldview checks off. In atheism, the human mind is an accidental byproduct of unguided evolutionary processes that were never aimed at truth. Natural selection favors survival and reproduction, not accurate belief-forming mechanisms. A brain that produces useful fictions can be just as adaptive as one that produces true beliefs. No mechanism in atheism guarantees our cognitive faculties track reality rather than produce survival-oriented illusions. This leads straight to global skepticism. We have no warrant to trust that our reasoning corresponds to reality. Yet the atheist uses reason to argue for atheism. He must assume truth is knowable and that his mind can grasp it. That assumption only makes sense if a rational God created both the world and our minds with the capacity to know it. Atheism has no basis for that assumption. It borrows the precondition of reliable knowledge from the very worldview it rejects. Objective moral values and duties exist. Grape is wrong in every culture, at every time, regardless of majority opinion or evolutionary advantage. Justice is real. Human dignity is not negotiable. Atheism cannot ground these facts. It offers three main options, none of which work. Morality is a subjective preference. I don't like grape. Preferences do not create an obligation. Morality is an evolutionary byproduct. Tribes that cooperated survived. This describes what is, not what ought to be. Survival does not equal moral goodness. You can't get an ought from an is. Morality is a social contract. Society agreed it's wrong. Contracts can be changed or broken without moral wrongness if power shifts. The number of people who believe something that doesn't make it true, otherwise Christianity would be true, it's an appeal to mass. If there is no transcendent moral lawgiver, there is no transcendent moral law. Moral outrage, demands for justice, and appeals to fairness become incoherent. The atheist condemns evil while denying any standard by which evil can be called evil. He lives as if morality is real, while his worldview says it is not. Only a transcendent, personal, perfectly good God can ground objective moral values and duties. He is the standard of goodness itself. We are accountable to him. Without that standard, morality reduces to power, preference, or illusion. Ethics also encapsulate value judgments. This is better, or that is worse. Worse based on what? Better based on what? If there is no objective standard, then there is no objective value. There is nothing better or worse, because objective value doesn't exist. There's also logic, but I'll save that for a future video. Now here's some quick-fire transcendentals. Uniformity of nature/induction. Science and everyday reasoning depend on the uniformity of nature. The future will resemble the past. The laws of physics will hold tomorrow as they do today. In atheism, this is either a brute fact or a pragmatic assumption. Brute facts have no guarantee. Pragmatism is circular. It worked yesterday, so it will tomorrow. Only a God who upholds the universe consistently can ground induction. Abstract objects, numbers, propositions, universals, laws of logic. In a material-only world, how do immaterial entities exist? Platonism posits a realm of forms, but it cannot explain how these forms relate to the physical world or our minds. Nominalism denies their reality, making math and logic mere human conventions. Only the mind of God provides a coherent location for abstracts. They are thoughts in the eternal, rational mind of the Creator. Beauty, meaning, purpose, human dignity. Beauty is not reducible to survival advantage or subjective taste. Meaning cannot be ultimate if life ends in nothingness. Purpose requires a purposer. Human dignity cannot be grounded in accidental matter. Atheism reduces all of these to illusions or evolutionary spandrels. Yet humans cannot live as if they are illusions. Atheism must borrow the concepts of beauty, meaning, purpose, and dignity from theism while denying their source. Every transcendental logic, truth, morality, induction, meaning, beauty, and abstract objects are a precondition for intelligibility. Atheism cannot account for any of them without borrowing from the Christian worldview. The atheist must use logic to argue, assume truth is knowable, appeal to moral outrage, rely on induction, and live as if life has meaning, all while denying the only foundation that makes those things possible: the triune God. The transcendental argument is not one proof among many. It shows that the denial of God is intellectually impossible. The atheist must stand on God's ground to argue against him. Every attempt to reason without God is self-defeating, because reasoning itself presupposes God. Atheism is not a coherent alternative. It is a worldview that destroys the very possibility of coherence. The only position that can account for logic, truth, morality, and the rest is the one that affirms an eternal, rational, personal, unchanging God who created a rational, orderly world and rational minds capable of knowing it. Atheism is absolutely not a scientific nor a logical worldview. It's based on fallacies, irrational assumptions, ungrounded beliefs. It cannot explain the creation of life nor the universe. It cannot explain rationale nor order in the universe. It cannot explain the truth nor morals. It can't explain anything. Atheism is the made-up fairy tale for people who are afraid of the light. That is why atheism fails, and the only consistent position is Christianity.